Ooh, too much background noise. I started streaming.
All right.
All right. Let's just see if we're getting any audio or if we're getting anything on the feed. Oh, okay. I can see something happening. Let me just make sure if we have audio. If anybody joins in the live chat, please let us know if we have good audio. This is Atheist Republic. We're about to start. Oh, hey, Christy. Hi, Christy. Good idea. Okay, good. I'm gonna try to keep the microphone close to me. Oh, Beej is here. Beej, can I mod you here as well? Greetings. You have audio. Thank you so much. Jim, hi. Say something.
Hi, Armin.
What are we doing today? We're talking the latest news on atheism, religion, and this week actually we got some of the recommendations from our community. Anna went and looked into the comment section of the past videos that we posted, and she pulled one of the 10 news that we're covering today is based on your recommendation. So thank you so much for recommending news to us. Again, this is the Atheist Republic, emphasis on the word republic. So we're trying to make sure that we listen to our community, the Atheist Republic community, not necessarily the atheist community. A lot of people come and tell us, they say like, who are you to think you represent the atheist community? And like, no, we don't represent the atheist community. We represent Atheist Republic community, okay? Which is our community that we built over the past 13 plus years. And for that reason, we're trying to be not just our opinions and voices, we want to be your opinion and your voices. And that's why we encourage you to leave comments on the videos and on the news videos and tell us what news you think we should cover each week. And also when you leave, the reason why we ask for the comments in the YouTube section is because almost everywhere else we get so many messages and notification that we might miss it. And our YouTube is not as big as our Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. And also leaving comments really helps us grow the YouTube channel, because YouTube is like, ooh, these people are interacting with this video a lot, so must be an important channel. So we get our videos get suggested in the algorithm a lot more when you leave a comment. So it's a really great way to first make sure that the news we're covering is the news you want us to cover. And also helps our YouTube grow, and it's also the easiest way for us to get suggestions, because it's easier for us to notice them, because everywhere else we're gone too big to go through all the messages. Beej is saying yes, mod Beej. Christy, okay, I'm modding. Don't be too like trigger happy with the mods, banning. But you guys are pretty good. So Beej and Christy, I know you guys know even better than me what you're doing. So that's good. Hi, audio breaks now. Does it break now? No, this is just Jim playing with his microphone. Jim, stop touching your headphone.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Oh, where's Armin's video? What the hell? What happened to my video?
You're in the dark.
Did my video get lost?
Oh, yes, it sure is. It's just a black window.
Was it there before?
I didn't see it when we went live, but it was on Skype.
Because when Skype gets the camera, then OBS doesn't get the camera. There, I'm back. Am I back? Yeah, I think I'm back. All right, good. We know you well enough. Oh, thank you, Bish. Soraya, Christy, both Bish and I are fair. Yes, you are. I know. Christy is awesome. She's hi everyone. Jim, that's you. I can see you, Armin. Edward. Okay, good. I'm not gonna mod you, Jim. Because you have to focus on the news. All right, so don't worry. The Mad Gay Theist is here. Okay, let's go over the first news. What are we doing? What are we covering today?
The first news today is a black headscarf that is on sale for just £6 in the Marks and Spencer School Essentials section. The company is selling the hijab after a number of schools has requested the option. Some customers have threatened to boycott the store until the product is removed from stock.
Okay, I know saying £6 gave it away, but can you also mention where this is?
Yes, yes, this is from England specifically, but the Marks and Spencer services, um, Scotland, Ireland, the UK, just that entire area.
Okay,
It's
yeah. Before we go into our opinions and the live chat opinions and the Facebook comment opinions. Oh, I should open the Facebook live chat and see what people are saying there as well. But before we get into that, can you tell us the general reasoning behind why people are boycotting it?
So the general reason that they're boycotting it is because they're saying that the hijab is something that is not compulsory. This isn't the Middle East. This is the UK, and there are a lot of people who feel like that this product is being forced upon children.
Okay. I mean, but it's not being forced upon them. Oh, but I mean by the parents, like not by the store,
Correct.
right?
Correct.
Um, I mean, okay, so devil's advocate. Well, parents force everything on their children, including like if it was up to kids, they wouldn't have to go to school, they wouldn't have to do homework, they would be eating candies for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Obviously, they're kids, so parents get to decide what gets forced on them. Devil's advocate, right? So what
Right.
is yeah. I think the main argument is that this is the main point of hijab is to desexualize women, right?
Right.
To
Right.
make them less sexy so they're not appealing to men, to protect them. So having hijab for children basically sexualizes children as if they would be attractive, like you're trying to make them not sexy, as if children are sex objects. You know what I mean? That's, I think, the main objection to it.
That's exactly right, Armin. As a matter of fact, these hijabs are being stocked for girls as young as 3 years old. So yes, the sexualizing of the women and the purpose of covering the hijab for the modesty of the women, so they don't show their hair and they can have blessed fruit and so forth. It seems like this company is facilitating fundamental Islam spread in the Western world.
Well, okay, now I'm gonna put my devil's advocate of a Muslim hat on. I'm gonna be like, well, this is not even Islamic, because in Islam you don't teach, girls are not supposed to put the hijab on until they hit the age of reason. And some people say that's 9. Some people say that's a different age. Some people say depends on puberty. It depends on different things. But they say like, well, putting hijab on a 3-year-old girl, even if some parents do it, that's not even Islamic. So don't criticize Islam for it. What would you say to that?
Well, that may not particularly be an Islamic construct, but segregating genders and oppressing women and making laws for one sex and not the other, that is very much founded in religion.
Okay, so they would say to that they have laws for men as well. It's just different laws because men and women are different. That's what they would say. But the thing I say to that, in Islam, you don't have to put the hijab on children, but it is encouraged sometimes as practice, right? For example, it's not. I think when Muslims say that in Islam you don't have to put hijab on children. Yeah, you don't have to, but you can. You know what I mean? So,
Right.
for example, children don't have to pray, do the 5 prayers until they hit the age of reason, right? But that doesn't mean that it's anti-Islamic for children to pray. Like you could get them to start praying the five times a day from age 2 or 3 or whatever, just so that they get used to it, so that when they hit the age of reason, they don't miss a single one of them, right? So I think
Absolutely.
what they're saying it's not Islamic. I think it's a little bit either dishonest, or I don't know, maybe they don't. I don't know what their motivation is, because it
Well,
is
well, I
it
you
is
know
it,
it's
it is not mandatory for children to wear the hijab, but it's not forbidden for them to wear the hijab. You know what I mean? Like it might be
right.
even encouraged to get them used to it. But go on, sorry.
Correct. Well, for the people who are saying this, for the people, like who agree with your devil's advocate point of view that the hijab is not compulsory, so the hijab is not necessarily
for children.
an
For children.
yeah,
Yeah.
right, correct. But I would encourage these people to go and find children that are wearing these, that whose parents are buying these for their children to wear that are not Muslim.
No, okay, well, they might say that the parents shouldn't. The parents that are putting hijab on their children, they might be saying they think they're being Islamic, but they are not because you're not supposed to wear the hijab as a child. I'm telling them, well, you don't have to in Islam, but it's not forbidden, right?
Right,
Um,
right. There's
right,
there's nothing against it, but there's nothing saying that you have to.
right. It might be even encouraged, even though it's not mandatory, right?
Sure.
Um, I mean, a lot of people see this as a cultural thing and being against it. They see it as bigoted against foreign. They see it as xenophobia. I say that's obviously horseshit. I mean, the whole point of hijab is to desexualize women. Like it's not a lot of women think it's a bad identity. They try to make it seem a bad identity. It's about showing your faith. No, the purpose of hijab is it's not a woman thing, it's a man thing. Hijab is a man thing. Hijab is as designed by men for women to protect their property, which is women, from other men. That was the purpose of hijab, right?
Right.
It's yeah. So to put that on children is absolutely disgusting, I think. Um, and I don't know. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people. So let me see what the live chat is saying. Muscal is saying, I saw a lady at the library on Friday that only had her eyes shown. It's safe to take off the hijab and face veil in the US. I don't understand why some women still cling to oppression. The mad gay theist. Well, I mean, they don't see it as oppression. I mean, I know. I'm not agreeing with them, but they don't see it like that. Some part of oppression is what is it called when you are? I don't know. There's a name for this. When the people that kidnapped you convince you that it's for your own interest.
Oh, Stockholm syndrome.
Yeah, something like that, right? So the best form of oppression is an oppression that you're convinced that it's not an oppression, that you enforce it on yourself. You don't even need a government to enforce it on you. The mad gay theist is saying, are they also offering chastity belts, or would that be considered too much? I think this should be considered too much, right? I mean, and again, this a lot of people say this is they might say again, devil's advocate, and I will respond to my own devil's advocate again. This is a private company. There's nothing illegal about wearing the hijab. This company wants to make profit. They're free to sell the hijab, and they're free to tap into a market and make money off of it. What's wrong with that? And my response to that is that there's nothing wrong with that, and there's nothing. I mean, there is something wrong with that, but they have the freedom to do that. Obviously, they do have the freedom to do that, and people have the freedom to respond to it and boycott the company, right? And have a freedom to, make it a PR nightmare for the company. Both sides are free, and so just because you're free to sell an item which is legal, you are allowed to do that. Doesn't mean that you're free from the consequences of doing so, right? Any other devil's advocate that you could think of?
Not for this particular position, no.
Right. I don't know if it's going to work, or by the way, it might actually. I'm not saying the boycott is going to work, because sometimes it might actually backfire. A lot of people that didn't now might notice. A lot of Muslims might notice this company and now want to support it and go buy it because of all the news attention it gets. And this Mark and Spencer might actually knew exactly what they're doing. Maybe they were banking. I don't know. Maybe they were banking on the controversy that it gets to be able to get a lot of free marketing. Constantine is saying, I thought that was the Green Reaper costume. Yeah, that's right. It's a great time for the Halloweens, actually.
Absolutely.
Look, it's so dark and morbid. Like it's for children. They didn't even like put some cute stuff on it. It's just so, yeah. I don't know. Ian is saying, remember, hijab is a choice. Um, I mean, he's saying that as I think, as a satire.
Right.
Some people put pictures. Okay, that's funny. Uh, Oh, so Hale is making fun of this and saying, "Hey, schoolgirls can be wives too." Oh my God, that's so
Oh,
dark. Just in time for Halloween. Let me see if there's any Facebook comments. By the way, Facebook people, make sure if you want me to read something to tag Atheist Republic, so that I know that you want something to be read. All right. No. Okay. So, Jim? Do you have any other comments on this one, or should we move to the next story?
I think we can move to the next one.
Let me just see. Do you think they're gonna? Do you think this backlash is gonna make them pull it? Pull? No, it's not gonna. I think.
You know,
Yeah.
I really don't know, Armin, because they claim that the reason they started selling it in the first place was because of an increase in requests from schools to provide it for school uniforms. So apparently, some school uniforms, I'm guessing that if they are going to wear a hijab, they have to meet school standards, and I'm sure they have solid colors only or whatever their policies are. So, I
Yeah.
mean, perhaps this is just something that may be phased out, or like you said, this may cause an increase in support from the Islamic community.
Yeah. Let me see what the Mad Gacy is saying. That was my point. Hijab is a type of chastity belt. Yeah, exactly. Soraya is saying Islam has been a one-way trip. Once has become the norm, and if someone wants to change it in future, then there will be some resistance to get that freedom of choice back. Yeah. All right. Okay, let's go to the next news.
Next in the news is comes from Iraq, where Mohammed al-Mutari, a 14-year-old teenager who has a quote-unquote feminine look, is the latest victim of this series of killings and assassinations in Iraq.
Holy
He was
fuck.
it's awful, Armin. He was brutally killed in the street while his murderers videotaped the killing and then documented it on social media. The victim, this poor little 14-year-old boy, asked what was coming out from his body, and the attacker replied, "It's your guts." And in the video, the victim is seen lying on the ground as he bleeds to death, and his last words were that he wanted to see his mother.
Oh my fucking god.
It's just a really heartbreaking story. Just
Yes.
another awful murder. The most heinous murder in this latest series of attacks in Iraq.
Do do they know who did this?
They do not. They do not. This is just something that had gone viral. They're in the process of tracking the person who posted this to social media, but they're saying that the person who posted it is not the person who did it. So they are still trying to track this person down.
Holy fuck. Do they have any leads? Any suspicions?
They have no leads. At this point, there's just a lot of people in Iraq trying to raise awareness. They're trying to get the authorities to take action, but as of now, no investigation has gone forth.
Did they? Did the people that? So you could hear the voices of the people that did this on the video.
Yes, and the little boy's laying on the ground crying, and he's telling them to help and that it hurts, and he's asking them what's coming out of his body, and they were telling them that it's his guts. They purposefully pulled the guts out of his body and let him die slowly. So they tortured him and murdered him on video.
Did they mention anything about the reason why they were doing this?
They said it was because he looked gay, because he looked feminine. A 14-year-old child looks feminine.
But Jesus, unbelievable. I don't even know what to say.
It's absolutely murder, just awful, and you know they he with no family around, no friends, nobody that he knew. He was just killed and then taunted, being called gay and stuff like that as he was dying.
Fuck these people. Fuck this culture. Fuck this religion. Fuck fuck anybody that makes excuses for this nonsense.
Absolutely. Yeah, he was on his way home at night in the Yarmouk neighborhood in Baghdad, and his assailant attacked him with a knife and stabbed him 7 times in the stomach, and capturing the entire thing on social media.
Okay, Muscal in the live chat is saying America needs to get out of Iraq. Do you think this had to do with military actions? No, Muscal, no. Please, I know I love you, but please stop. This has not. This is. Let's not.
Yeah,
This
this
is.
has absolutely nothing to do with America.
Yeah. This and there's and the reason. Another thing is that this might one of the problem in addressing these things is people not seeing where the problem is their culture. The problem is their religion. The problem is their inferior culture. The problem is their barbaric, backward way of thinking.
Right.
Okay?
And in what other culture would somebody feel okay doing this? You know, this person went home after posting this video, after doing this to this child. He went home feeling justified, feeling like he had brought himself honor for doing this for his religion.
This is so bad. Imagine what he was thinking. This is just being alone, sitting there, knowing that nobody's helping them, thinking about. Imagine what the mom is going through.
Oh, it's awful. It's awful. And a few days before this, there's a 2-year-old orphan boy who was raped and killed in Baghdad. And so I mean it really, brings you to ask, where, all these religious leaders, and especially in Baghdad and in Iraq, who are claiming to want, reformation and stuff that you and I both know will never help Islam, but they're preaching moderation and peace, and at the same time they're not speaking out against things like this. So to like the minister of the interior, these all these religious leaders, these imams, why are you not speaking up?
I mean, I don't want to wait for them to speak up. Their fucking religion needs to die and it needs to end. Any call for reform, any call for moderation should be met with ridicule, and laughter. And these people, this is the religion that has run out of excuses. This is a religion that anytime it asks for more, like telling that this is not as every time we buy into this idea that this is something that could be reformed and this is not something that reflects their religion or their ideology, we're just slowing down the process of this religion dying out, and we're making excuses for more victims down the road. This is an ideology that deserves no excuses. This is an ideology that should not be reformed or become. We should not wait for a moderate version of it. This is an ideology that needs to die. It needs to die, and the slower the process, the more the victims. If you're not going for the full kill on this ideology, there's going to be more Muhammads like this down the road. Okay?
Absolutely.
When we were destroying Nazism and communism, we didn't look for a moderate version of it. We destroyed those. I mean, look at how many countries in the world are now running based on Nazi ideology. How many Nazi governments do we have right now? Because that was it wasn't just a battle of military might. We destroyed that ideology because, we proved that this is an ideology that needs to be defeated. I mean, and they're still around. That's not that it's completely defeated. It still exists, but we know that this is a toxic ideology, that there's no hope for reform. I mean, the amount of harm that this kind of thinking is causing all around the world, it's way more than anything else with the same level of harm we would tolerate. Like, we would, if anything else, if there was anything else that was causing this much pain and misery, we would have gotten rid of it by now. It's only
That's
religion
right.
when we come up with excuses, when we tell people, or culture, when we tell people like, oh, this doesn't represent everybody. This is like this is just a few minority. This is a perverted version of a peaceful ideology. We know exactly where these ideas come from. We know where these ideas come from. And
That's right.
and when you make excuses for a book that is so horrific that it excuses this kind of behavior, you're part of the problem. Let me see what people are saying in the comments. Jenny saying, I will never have any respect for that barbarian religion. Good, Jenny. Regilo is saying, I wake up hating religious people more and more every day. Well, I don't know if I hate religious people. I hate religion because religion is doing this to religious people.
Yep.
I mean, this person was named Muhammad after the prophet. The kid that died, his family probably has some sort of religion. The reason why we hate religion is mostly because of what it does to religious people. Yuri is saying religion of peace strikes again. Adam is saying Islam is religion of peace. Stop picking on it. I think he was being upset. Andy is saying, nah, he doesn't look gay. Just no, I'm not gonna read. There's nothing to joke. Alright, let me see if anybody in the Facebook is saying anything. I'm just gonna look at the ones that have been tagged. Oh my god, this was so horrific. Hold on. Atheist Republic. Okay, Joseph in the Facebook live chat saying, Atheist Republic, religions will always take what they want from scriptures to justify killing no matter what it is for. Yeah. Alright, anything? Let me see. The Mad Muscal saying, in my defense, I asked a question. Yeah, Muscal, I know you're just asking, so... And I answered. It's good that you're asking. I wasn't trying to single you out. Obviously, you're just investigating. But to be fair, I think I was just responding as well. I hope you didn't feel targeted. So in my defense, I asked a question before I heard the whole story. I jumped the gun, but I still think America should get out of the Middle East. 2 separate points. No, don't worry. It's okay. You ask a question. And I just wanted to give my response to it. It's good that you're open to changing your opinions as well. The Mad Atheist saying, even moderate Muslims believe in the literal Quran. They may not commit the atrocity, but they don't disapprove. I mean, even if they do disapprove, a lot of them do disapprove. But the thing is that they are unknowingly giving legitimacy to a book that condones this kind of behavior. Mike is saying it's religion's fault is like saying that gang killing is environmental. No excuse for such behavior. I didn't excuse it. I didn't say, how did I excuse it? It is religion's fault. Religion is carried by people. Religion. Did I say anything that suggests that I'm excusing the people that committed this murder? It is religion's fault, and it is also environmental. And guess what? Religion is part of the environment. All right, let's go to the next news.
The next news comes from Kalamazoo, where the Atheist Alliance of America is helping locals in need. The group is about helping people, not about people's beliefs. And there's a Facebook page if you're interested in volunteering or donating. It's facebook.com/atheists helping the homeless Kalamazoo.
This was suggested to us on a YouTube comment, right? So that's why we're covering it. So thank you for whoever recommended this. So again, I want to Atheist Alliance of America, right? And there's a lot of atheist groups out there that do a lot of great work. So this is a good shout out to them. They're helping locals in need. What are they doing exactly to help the locals in need?
So what they are doing that most charities don't do is, for one, they're not debating their theology in order for these people to receive some kind of help. They're not saying that, here's a Bible. They're not preaching to these people. That's first and foremost what they're doing. But secondly, they are helping those in need. They're showing the community that there are good people that are willing to help, that are atheists and agnostics. So just basically. Just further proving the concept that you don't have to be You don't have to be religious in order to be a good person.
Right.
They hand out toiletries, soap, general hygiene products, clothes, snacks, water, food, all kinds of stuff. And in the winter, they do a clothing drive with hats and gloves and coats and blankets.
And okay, there's two benefits in doing these things. First of all, I mean, there's three. For the first one is the homeless that are benefiting from this. The second one is to advocate the fact that you don't need religion to be moral. But the third one, which is something that I think needs to be talked about more, is that religions have monopolized I mean, less and less now, but for too long they monopolized a lot of charity organizations, and they do it with they have well, I mean, even when they lost the monopoly, they still have a lot of unfair advantage. Like they get tax-free exemptions without having to publicly show their books. I mean, other charity groups also get tax-free exemptions, but not but they have to. I mean, they have to go through a lot more shit, and they have to. I mean, the churches and the mosques, they don't have to show where their money is going to, right? And they consider actually selling their religion and advocating for their religion part of their good that they're doing to the society, which is not, right? So part of there's a lot of secular charities out there that are not atheists, but they're just not religious, right? But the good thing about having atheist, like with the brand atheist and charity, is to basically make the point very obvious that charity does not have to not to be religious, right? Like charity and religion don't go with each other, because a lot of the things with in religion, like charity, community, a sense of meaning, a sense of inspiration, these are the PR front for a lot of nasty shit that religion brings with it, right? It's like a sugar coating for the poison pill that is inside, and when we take away that sugar coating, all that is left is basically the nasty shit that is inside, and that people could see it for what it is, right? So it's good. We already have so many charity groups like Doctors Without Borders, Save the Children, Amnesty International, that are not religious at all. But I like it when we have like charities with the brand atheism, because that really makes the point that charity and religion don't have to go hand in hand, right? So what was again this group? It was called Atheists Helping Homeless Kalamazoo. So go check them
Yes, that's
out.
good.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Let me just see if there's anything. So Ultimate Classic is saying Christianity will return to a cult status by the end of century. Well, I hope so. The West is becoming more and more secular. Islam, however, will continue. What future do you see for Islam? Yeah, Islam is growing, unfortunately, and don't. I mean, for Christianity, it was supposed like during the Enlightenment era, it was supposed to die out, but it came back again with full. So um, don't I mean we're trying to kill both Christianity and Islam and other religions, but don't underestimate Christianity. A lot of people during history thought that they were seeing the very last decade of Christianity, but it didn't die, it came back. So I think that I'm hoping you're right, but it will die if we keep trying to kill it. Like, we can't just hope that it's go away. It's not. It might need. A lot of the times when religion are almost dying, they just go through a phase where they put like a mask on. They look like a cute puppy that is not going to harm you. And then once they get spread again, they come back into power. And that's why I'm against reform. Because that's basically the phase that they're going through. When you see them looking like a cute little puppy that looks like it's not going to hurt you, you have to remember its true nature. That's when you kill it. Noble, well, I don't know how to pronounce your name, saying World Red Cross is the biggest secular charity. People who don't want to contribute to religious charities usually go to Red Cross. My favorite charity is Save the Children. So check that out as well. Let me see if there's any comments here. Ryan is saying, what a wonderfully whimsical name. Calams, I don't know. How do you pronounce their name? Kalamazoo? Kalamazoo. I don't know.
Kalamazoo.
Kalamazoo. All right. Let's see if there's any Facebook. Jeff is saying, well said, Armin. Thank you, Jeff. All right. Let's go to the next news.
The next news comes from Ireland, where last Sunday, church was in service for the last time at one of their dioceses. It's actually one of the largest Catholic churches in Ireland with a capacity for 3,500 people. It is going to be demolished to make way for a smaller church. The extra space is going to be used for housing for the elderly and other social services.
Oh, this is progress. No?
Yes, this is definitely.
So they're destroying a church to make housing for the homeless?
Well, they're destroying the church because it has a capacity of 3,500, but they're only serving a very small fraction of that. So the church is actually too big for the needs of the parish, so they don't have enough Catholic people in this area to go to this church. So they're making a smaller church to fit the population of Catholics in the area, and then using the extra space for housing.
So the headline is one of Ireland's largest churches will be demolished due to low attendance, right? So we have to show this to people, be like, hey, look, low attendance to church helps the homeless, right?
Right.
So don't go to church and advocate for your church to become something actually useful. I mean,
Absolutely.
Christians pretend to be caring for the meek and the poor, right? So put your money where your mouth is. Destroy your church or make it like stop going to church so you could turn it into something for the homeless.
That's right. Well, I mean, if you think about it, I don't know about in Canada, but in the U.S., 5 to 6 days out of the week.
Your voice is cutting out. Your voice is cutting out.
Oh, I apologize. 5 to 6 days out of the week, churches in the U.S. are closed. And if they would open up their doors during those 5 or 6 days, they could actually, help a lot of people.
Wait, so 5 or 6 days out? So basically, they just use it twice a week, and then that all real estate just goes unused most of the time?
Right, exactly. And you have all those empty benches inside of a heated and cooled area that homeless people could sleep in. And most churches have a kitchen, a working kitchen. They have bathrooms. They have facilities that would help homeless people those other 5 days.
It's not homeless. It's the elderly. Thank you, Beach, for pointing it out. And other social services.
Yes. In this particular church, I'm just saying that churches in the U.S. could open up 5 days a week to assist the homeless and the elderly.
Right. But this church in Ireland is going to be destroyed, and it's going to be helping the elderly.
Yes. It's housing for elderly and also other social services.
That's fantastic. I don't know. I mean, we should this should be motivation for Christians not to go to church. We should tell them, look how much good you're doing by not going to church, right?
Right. Stay home on Sunday. Sleep in so somebody else can have a home.
Yeah, and we could actually point out, look, there's nowhere in the Bible that says you have to go to church, and not going to church is going to help the elderly. This is how we bankrupt the churches.
That's right.
Yeah. Let me see. Daniel is saying, please don't demolish it. Such a waste. Turn it into a church-themed strip club with sexy nuns. I mean, it's not a waste. I think I prefer elderly care than strip club. So it's not turning to a waste. But yeah, actually, what Daniel is saying, is there no way, couldn't they just redecorate it the inside instead of destroying the whole thing and just remove the cross and just no, I mean, maybe they would be tempted to turn it back into a church at some point. Demolish the fucking thing. Well, no, I mean, what is it really hard to make a building, to repurpose a building for something else? I guess it would be.
I don't know. I wouldn't. I wouldn't think it'd be hard to put up some walls and just make little separate rooms and everything in there. Just partition the inside of it. But
yeah, I don't know why they have to demolish the whole thing.
So, somebody commented, said, turn it into an abortion clinic.
Oh shit. Oh my god. Chris is saying just tear the cross down and use the building for something else. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Maybe there's some specific requirements for. I mean, whoever came up with the plan of rebuilding it, they must know best. I don't know. Raish is saying little by little the world becomes a better place. Well, no, Ireland is becoming a better place. I don't know. The world is. Well, I mean, the world is becoming a better place, but there's religion is becoming more popular in some other places, which is sad. Derek is saying turn it into a music venue, mostly for metal. I don't know. I like it to become to. I like the idea of it becoming some for social services because then basically it's showing that it's we're doing what religion promised to do and failed to do in a secular way. Do you know what I mean? Like turning it into a house that cares for the elderly in a secular way is basically competing with religion in the domain that it pretends to actually do some good. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
So I like the idea of like caring for homeless, caring for elderly, caring for the sick, turning the churches into that because then we're basically dominating the industry that they want to pretend to own. Or libraries. Well, actually, libraries. Right. No. Libraries are becoming obsolete. Everybody has their books on their phone, so not libraries. All right. Let me see if there's any other comments here. Converted into a homeless shelter. Yeah. Let me see if there's anything. The Mad Atheist is saying we could go the route of the cult of reason and make it a learning center for a center for learning and knowledge. Well, I think like a lot of buildings that are, I think school and university and any educational center that is not online at some point is going to become obsolete. I think universities are going to become mostly online at some point. You know what I mean? It's going to be a lot cheaper and a lot more efficient. It's going to be gamified. So I wouldn't encourage investing in real estate for education because I think at some point they're all going to. But elderly care, obviously, you're going to need a location. Taking care of the homeless, you're going to need buildings. So yeah, for educational purposes, I don't suggest turning these buildings into that because it would be a bad investment. Let me see if there's any. Joseph is saying in the Facebook chat, tax breaks is the reason to do this. Funding from foreign programs for elderly. Many churches are. Jeff is saying many churches are too much into making profit rather than helping people. Roger is saying great point. Why aren't these churches helping in the homeless? At the Bible instructs. Well, I mean, the Bible, I don't want to give credit to the Bible for taking care of the homeless. The Bible plays lip service to taking care of the poor, but it doesn't provide any good advice on how to do that. But let's go to, I mean, it doesn't actually tell you to take care of the poor. It just promises you that the meek shall inherit the earth. Like, just be kind to them. I mean, the Bible, it's promotes suffering and pain and misery. In a way that it, and by promising so much to the poor, you kind of keep them poor. You know what I mean? I don't think the Bible is, and again, these are part of the sugarcoating for the poison pill. The Bible is so anti-human that, and when people say, "Oh, the Bible have good messages in it," I point to them like, not really. Like if you look at it. First of all, the so-called good parts of the Bible are just covering for all the shit that's in there. But but also at the same time, when you look at the Bible, when you look at the good parts, you could see that first of all, they're very simplistic. There's not that much depth into it. What do you think? Like, what does you know the Bible more than I know the Quran, I think, and Hadith more than you, I think. But you've studied the Bible more than I have. So what do you say? What does the Bible specifically say about taking care of the poor?
Well, there are many verses in the Bible, the New Testament specifically, that that says, where Jesus says, come you who are blessed by my Father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you. I was hungry, you gave me food. I was thirsty, you gave me drink. I was naked, and you clothed me. And then there's other ones in like in okay, so take for his instance, for example, Leviticus is the third book in the Old Testament written by Moses supposedly, and it says, if your brother becomes poor and cannot maintain himself with you, you shall support him as though he were a stranger and a sojourner. So it does say to take care of the people who are poor, but at the same time, in the same book, and just one book before by the same author, it talks about enslaving non-Hebrew people for their entire life and raping their daughters and wives. So,
Wait,
it's
wait.
like you
Was this
said,
Old Testament or New Testament?
this is Old Testament,
Okay.
Leviticus.
Okay, go on. Like, okay, you were saying, sorry.
Right. And well, it's just hypocritical, it's like you said this, saying, that if your brother doesn't have anything, give him something. It's just the sugar coating on the poison pill, because you don't have to go very very far in either direction. You can turn a couple of pages
Mm.
and see something misogynistic, or something endorsing slavery, or something xenophobic, something against another race, and it's just like you said, just a sugar coating.
So wait, so the parts that is talking about taking care of the poor, that's mostly the Old Testament?
No, no,
No, no.
there's a lot in the New
New Testament
Testament,
as well? Yeah.
right, in the synoptic gospels, in Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, where Jesus talks about, if you have two tunics and somebody doesn't have one, give one to him, and so on and so
Right.
forth.
Yeah, that okay, but okay, so first of all, we know that's not the best way of taking care of the poor, right? To take care
That's
of the
right.
poor, instead of giving them handouts, you give them the resources to build their lives, right? That's
That's
the
right.
proven method, right? Is that I mean, correct us if we're wrong, right? You give them education, you give them the tools to go get a job, you give them investment money like you don't give them money. Even if you give them money, it's in a form of money for them to invest in building a business or building something to that they could have, uh, continue to have income in it. So the Bible's recommendation on keep taking care of the poor is bullshit. And also, when it comes to the Old Testament, any kindness to your fellow human beings, and mentioned in the Old Testament, it's actually not to your fellow human beings. It's to your fellow Hebrew. You know,
Exactly to the people of your same skin tone, the people from your tribe.
right? Exactly. So yeah, none of that bullshit.
Yeah, that's right. Because I mean, and in the Old Testament, it talks about how God has a chosen people and instructs them to go out and not only kill other tribes, but to enslave them, and to sell their children as slaves, and to rape their women, and so on and so forth. And it's just extremely hypocritical.
Exactly. Let me see if there's anything else in the YouTube live chat. But the Bible say praises the widow who gave her last coin to the temple. Oh, Beej is mentioning that. Is that
Oh, is this like a Mother Teresa claim, where we are glorifying people for being in poverty?
no? I mean, Beej is saying like she's agreeing with us. She's saying like one bad part of the Bible is that it praises the widow who gave her last coin to the temple.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it makes it seem like they're
Yeah.
they're a better Christian, yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, I've been to so many churches where they told the people that if you're poor, just invest in the church and you're gonna make 10 times back, which is so shit.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's awful, because most of these people are elderly people who are on a fixed income, whether it be Social Security, or whatever, some kind of government assistance, where they're on a minimum budget. And these televangelists, especially these TV preachers, are just robbing these people blind.
Right. And Noble, somebody that I can't pronounce her name is saying give to God what is God's and give to Caesar what is Caesar's. I never understood that part. Is because isn't everything God's? Everything,
Right,
yeah.
right. Well,
Every,
yeah, they're saying, give blessings to gods, but obey man's law. So if Caesar asks for your taxes, pay your taxes.
yeah. Okay. Let's go to the next news. Oh fuck.
This next one is pretty awful. It happened in India in Nawada, Bihar, where an 18-year-old Muslim girl was tied to a tree for around 5 hours and was caned by her entire family for loving a Hindu boy. She fled from her village to stay with the man, Kumar, and upon learning her absence, the family went to look for her. They found her with Kumar and brought her back, and her punishment was allegedly a result of the village panchayat's diktat. The panchayat was convened, which directed the girl's family to punish her for dishonoring the village. Police came, questioned everybody. They were warned, but were not arrested.
They were warned, but they were not arrested
They were given a verbal warning. That is correct.
for tying a Muslim girl to a tree.
Yes, and directing her family members to beat her for 5 hours.
And they were just got a warning. What the fuck, India? Like, okay, this is where exactly?
That's correct. This is in India.
Okay. Do you know where in India? This is.
Uh, yes, it is in what did I say? Bihar,
Bihar.
Nawada, Bihar. Bihar is the state. Nawada is
This is
the city.
happening a lot. Like a lot of Hindus are attacking Muslims. They for the crime. I think they call it love jihad.
Yes,
Either Muslim boys or Muslim girls that have fallen in love with a Hindu boy or a girl. This is religion being what it does best, which is being against love.
right,
Right. This is religion separating people. Religion that claims to bring people together. This is what religion does. This is the true nature of religion. This is religion being against the purest emotions that we have for each other. Holy
right. But
fuck.
at the same time, Armin, I have to interject and say that this is also a clear example of love overpowering religion. This girl likely knew what her punishment would be, knew that it would be
Uh,
severe, and the boy as well. Yet, them being from two different backgrounds, yet growing up in cultures that are beside each other, the Hindu culture and the Islamic culture, and yet they still refuse to leave each other. So in a sense, love overcame
it
religion.
didn't. They got defeated. Look at what happened. Look at the end result. Religion overpowered love.
Right. Well, and the sad thing is that this young boy, the police warned the people who came the girl, yet they turned right around and are looking for this young man named Rupesh Kumar, who is currently on the run. So they are looking for him.
This is happening a lot in India, by the way. Like a few months ago, I saw somebody burning the body of a Muslim boy, a Hindu man, killing and burning the body of a Hindu boy because of him falling, dating at their a girl from their from their family. Um, Again, this is let me actually see Suraya. I want to see what he has to say because he's from India and he's in the live chat.
Oh,
Uh,
great.
yeah, he said Suraya is saying we have Hindu terrorism here. This is Hindu terrorism. Uh, this is fucking insane. And again, now here's the thing: people say, "Oh, Hinduism is not a religion; it's a philosophy; it's a way of life." Well, guess what? It's all of them, and it sucks at all of them. It's a religion, and it's a fucking batshit crazy religion. If it's a philosophy, it's a shitty philosophy that makes no fucking sense. And if it's a way of life, it's a barbaric, ancient, backward way of life that needs to die. Okay, it's all three of those things, and it does all of those threes in a shitty way, and it needs to die just as much as any other religion. No excuses for Hinduism. I mean, Hinduism has the caste system in it, and a lot of people say, "Oh no, it doesn't." No, it's it in Hinduism. Hinduism, it's superstitious. It's nonsense. Nonsense. It has gods in it. It has fairy tales in it. It believes in life after death, which is one of the most dangerous ideas that religion has to offer. It has all this honor nonsense bullshit. It puts people in different hierarchies, makes people feel superior for no fucking reason, makes you treat other people as inferiors for no fucking reason. it is a religion that needs to die, just like any other religion. Another thing that a lot of Hindus tell us, atheists, about Hinduism, like, oh, Hinduism is atheist friendly because one of the gods was skeptical, didn't said something that was like wasn't sure about where the universe came from. So I don't know, they mention a story. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? It's a god talking. It's a fairy tale. I don't care. You believe that it happened. If you believe that it happened, that's nonsense. I don't care what your fairy tale deity said that seemed that it was atheist friendly. That never happened. Okay, if you believe in that, you have to go get your checked or something. Okay, like, just because your nonsense has some, again, that's kind of like the sugar coating for a poison pill, right? They have these like little messages in there that they keep pointing out to, as if that excuses all the other nonsense in there.
That's right.
Let me see.
Soraya said that the man who burned that other man that you were talking about is actually running for office, and is being supported by that major party. The I'm
What?
sorry if I say this wrong. Bharatiya Janata Party is promoting him, and yeah, he's running for office.
Wait, so he didn't go to jail for burning another man?
Apparently not. I'll have to look into that more, but it seems like, yes, that he is running. He is running for election.
Jesus Christ.
His it's the organization is Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh. It's a RSS. It's an Indian right-wing Hindu nationalist paramilitary organization.
Soraya is saying today, October 14th in India, like it's October 13th here, but in India it's October 14th. Somebody, Amber Ambedkar, left Hinduism due to this shit. Who's that? But okay. Mars is saying Bill O'Reilly uses the philosophy, not religion line to defend Christianity. It's disgusting. All religious practices freeze barbaric ideas from the past and push it into the present. Exactly, Mars. And the fact that it's saying it's a philosophy, not a religion, shows to them that they know how crazy religion is, and how how harmful religion is. But the thing is that religion, something could be a religion and a philosophy at the same time. But if you're a religion and a philosophy, that means that your philosophy is shit philosophy. Let me see what the Facebook comments is saying. Colin saying Islam is the most feminist religion. Apparently, Colin, you got your story wrong. This was so. The top comment is saying that Islam is the most feminist religion. No, this was the Muslim girl was being attacked. This was a Hindu. This was a Hinduism thing, not the Islam thing. No excuses for Islam either, but this is Hinduism. I'm actually going to steal Colin's line here. So Hinduism is apparently not a peaceful religion, apparently.
But this religion actually is Muslim. She was a Muslim girl, and the boy was Hindu.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah.
Right.
James is saying religion, the worst thing since religion. Okay. Christian saying this looks like a newsflash from the Bronze Age. I almost forgot it's the 21st century, and that I am reading it from a smartphone. Amazing how religions can even fuck up time itself. Exactly. That's what Mars said in the live chat as well. David saying Christians like to ask why atheists are always so angry. Well, this is why, and they have every right to be. Let me see one more comment. Well, she's still alive, right? She should be happy. Hindu men can't say the same. They are killed by the Muslim females' family members. Oh, fucking hell. Who is this guy? Is this Jayana? Are you making excuses? Okay, this guy from India is making excuses for the story. This is a classic two wrong doesn't make it right. So this guy is saying she's still alive, right? Question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark, 4 question marks. She should be happy because she's apparently being tied to a tree and beaten up. She should be happy because she's alive, because Hindu men have been killed by Muslims. So because they haven't gone as far as killing her, She should be happy. She should be thanking them. Thank you for only tying me to a tree and beating me up for 5 hours instead of fucking killing me. Thank you so much. How generous of you. Fuck you for and your low standards. What the hell? What's this guy's name? Jayanand? I don't know. Jay. Fuck you, Jay, for having such a low standard. You think she should be happy for this? Like, is this... this is
Jay. What do you think's going to happen to that poor boy Kumar whenever he gets caught by the authorities? Do you think they're just going to give him a caning, or do you think they're going to kill him?
I don't care what happens. No, I mean I do care, but I'm just saying this. The whole point is that this is what classic whataboutism.
Exactly.
This guy is pointing out to some other wrong and making an excuse for this one because apparently because Muslims. This is classic tribalism. This guy is probably Hindu. Or has Hindu sympathies, and he's saying that we're shitting on Hinduism, and he says, well, they kill us, so this is okay. Fuck that reasoning, man. Really, fuck that reasoning. I don't know. Did somebody respond to this, Jade?
Yeah, it looks like 12 people responded to him.
Yeah, I want to see if there's any good ones. Oh, yeah, here's a good one. From Cole, I don't know. She responded, wasn't aware this was some sort of contest. Both are horrible situations. Yeah.
Thank you, Chloe.
Yeah, thank you, Chloe. Yeah, they're not equally horrible, but one does not excuse the other one. I'm surprised that we even need to mention this. Eddie is saying the religion of peace at work. I think they're referring to Islam. I think they didn't read the news properly. But we should make fun of the Hinduism as well. Like, you know how every time Islam does something shitty and people say, oh, religion of peace, we should do that about Hinduism, because people say that about Hinduism even more than they say that about Islam.
Right.
Let me see if there's any comment on Facebook. Yeah, okay. Let's go to the next news.
The next news comes from the United States, where Kat Kerr, a self-proclaimed Christian prophetess, explained that heaven is a giant magical theme park. There's a city in heaven made out of Jell-O where you can eat the mailboxes. Kids love it. The place has cows that drive tractors, a surf park with 80-foot waves. Kids get taught art classes by rabbits, and more.
What the fuck? This lady, I remember this lady. Wasn't this lady that commanded the hurricane to go away?
This lady has been in the news a lot, but yes, that sounds like some shit that she would do. She is nuts.
Okay, I think she noticed that the more crazy stuff she says, the more news coverage she's gonna get. She's a Christian and prophetess, so like a female prophet, right?
Right.
So isn't that anti-Christian for you to be a prophetess? Isn't that like
right?
witchcraft?
Well, yeah, because I mean, women aren't supposed to be in positions of authority according to 1 Timothy.
Oh yeah. Okay, this woman is just, I don't know. So, what? She seems like, is that her idea of heaven? She seems like a kid.
I kid you not, and Armin, those were only just a few of them. She said things that like trees sing, flowers dance, heaven has flower copters, and flower copters.
Flower
copters. She made up a word for a helicopter made of flowers that carries you around.
Is that the first time anybody has said that? Flower copters?
I've never heard that before.
I have to give her credit. That's pretty interesting.
I mean, it sounds pretty badass. I want to eat a Jell-O mailbox, but
I mean, I'm in favor of just making a theme box out of this lady's ideas of what a theme. Yeah. Actually, no. That's probably a health hazard. You can't just have it live it. It's just gonna stand there and no.
Right.
No, but
and this is something that's common in Christianity, maybe not to this extreme, but you cannot get any two Christians together and have them agree on what heaven is. You know, that there is no concept of heaven that is universal in Christianity.
But I mean, does she has it like how old does her audience are children at all, or is she like stuck in her childhood, or was she high maybe?
She's older. She's an older lady. She's in her 60s or 70s. I believe she's high on something. She has pink hair. She wears crazy clothes. She's very eclectic. But I would say that she's probably on some pretty good shit.
I mean, I want what she's having. I don't know what it is, but
And apparently she's said before that she has met Jesus in person. That
mm.
he's 6 feet tall. He's very handsome. He loves dancing.
And he's made out of chocolate, and you could eat him.
Yeah. Oh wow.
Right, it's kind of like the Last Supper, but this time
Yeah.
eat
Oh
chocolate.
yeah. Oh, this was the woman who was on the beach during Hurricane Irma with like a stick and was waving it at the hurricane, telling it to get back and shit.
Yeah, yeah, no, I knew I remembered her.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. She was
Oh
commanding the
wow.
hurricane. Um, yeah, I mean, we should all come up with our best ideas of heaven. I mean, did she say okay? So that's her. She could have said like everybody's heaven is going to be their best their their ideal world, right? But did she
Right.
say so? She explained, I think, what she would see as the most fun place to be. But is she saying that that's going to be my heaven, or is that going to be everyone's heaven? Like, what if I don't like Jello, and what if I think that flower copters are stupid?
I
So
mean, yeah, that's exactly right, and that exact reasoning is why there are so many different concepts of heaven. Even though in the Bible it clearly outlines what heaven is, its dimensions, and everything like that, people still go to the extremes of saying, oh, we'll see our family there. We'll be floating on clouds and playing harps and shit, and it's ridiculous.
when I was in school in Iran, one time a teacher, one of a substitute teacher, was talking to us about heaven, and he was saying how everything in heaven is pleasant. There's not a single unpleasant thing in heaven, and he told us that your fart would smell like perfume. and, and I remember the entire class being quiet for a few seconds, and everybody then started laughing, and we all felt like that was the most ridiculous thing we ever heard. And we were children, right? And this is a grown adult with white hair, like telling us something that he was taking so seriously, and us kids, like this was too much for us to get that much brainwashed. We all started laughing, and we all after, like during the break, we were all like repeating it and laughing over and over again, like the fact that this guy thinks that your fart smells like perfume in heaven. And I remember him being like looking at us, just sitting there, and we all couldn't stop laughing, and he was just sitting there looking at all of us, disappointed in our reaction. But yeah, but I don't know, it's funny that another thing they told us about heaven. You know how in I don't know, I know, I'm not sure if you know about this, but in Islam there was during the Muhammad's time there was this black slave that sang the azan, that he became a Muslim, right? And he became a Muslim, and his voice, the call to azan is the call to prayer in Islam, right? So his voice is very beautiful, right? And he's used as a symbol of Islam being pro-black, because this was a black man there. But what we learned in school is that when he died and go to heaven, he was such a perfect human being, and he was such a good Muslim, that his skin turned white. That was like a reward to him. Hey Jim, are you still there? Oh my god, I lost Jim. I was just talking to myself. Let me call him back. Let me read your comments here. Jim. Huh. Alright, let me try calling him on his phone. Oh, there you go. Jim,
Hi, I'm sorry.
you need better connection.
I know it. I know it.
You need better internet connection. Let me read the top comments here. Picture yourself on a boat on a river with what? Plasticine? What's plasticine tree? Is that what is it?
I'm not sure.
I don't know what this is. Let me actually look it up.
Oh, those are Beatles lyrics.
Oh, okay.
Plasticine.
A soft modeling material used especially by children. Plasticine trees, marmalade skies. Oh yeah, okay.
Yep.
So yeah, okay, that's lyrics. Ashton is saying, "Who is her supplier? I want to try what she's on, but only, but only if it's not permanent because I have a day job." Okay. Robert saying, "Whatever she took, I have to." That's funny. Let me see what the YouTube live chat is saying. The Mad Gates is saying, "If heaven is a personal choice, sadly no woman would be there." What? What about roof? Okay. So Beach is saying, and everyone gets the pony that wanted as a kid. I never wanted a pony as a kid.
If everybody gets a pony and everything in heaven is pleasing, is there somebody in heaven who likes to clean up horse shit?
Moosgal is saying, when I was Catholic, in Catholic school elementary years, my teachers would tell us Jesus preaches love. I think the high ups of any religion distort the real message, especially Catholicism. Let me see. Muska saying farts, not frats. Oops, autocorrect. Oh, let me see the description of heaven is not in the Holy Bible. I think most of the images that we get from heaven in Christianity comes from Dante, right?
That's of hell and paradise. But yes, there is actually a description of heaven in the Bible.
Yeah, there is, but most of the imagery of most of the ideas of like, Satan being like having a fork and having horns and heavens, the imagery of heaven and the imagery of hell comes from the writings after the Bible, from
Right. Well,
poets. Yeah.
heaven has always been a concept in Judaism, but hell was never a literal place. It was always a figurative place and an absence from God. But it wasn't until the
Christian.
first century, until 100 plus years after Jesus died, that they started an actual place, an underworld, so to speak.
Right. They borrowed that from Haiti and some other stuff as well, right?
Right.
Yeah, from Greek religions. But anyways, let's go to the next news.
The next news comes from the Vatican, where Pope Francis, the leader of the Catholics, compared abortion to hiring a hitman to take out a human life to solve a problem. He added that some people justify abortion as respecting other rights. He asked, "How can an act that suppresses innocent and defenseless life as it blossoms be therapeutic, civil, or simply human?" His comments came during a 3-week meeting of bishops from around the world on young people, where sexuality is among the top topics of discussion.
Oh my fucking god, Pope! This is the Pope that everybody had hope in, and he keeps on proving them wrong about how progressive he is.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for doing that, because I kind of didn't like the fact that this Pope was supposed to be part of the sugarcoating that I hate, right? That makes it
Right.
that puts a pleasant face on the toxic disaster and and all the harms that religion does to humanity. And I'm glad that he's more and more is showing us what Christianity has to offer. And this whole obsession with fetuses for me shows how misplaced the priorities of religion is, right? Like, it shows nothing more than being against abortion. I think, to me, shows how far how misused the natural sense of sympathy that we have for our fellow human beings is now being misdirected by so many people to something that doesn't feel that is not even self-aware, right?
That's right.
Which and such misuse of people's sympathy is such a is one of the clear indications of how harmful religion is, because sympathy is a powerful and useful source of getting people to cooperate and people to come together and protect each other and care for each other. And what religion does is religion pretends to be a promoter of that, or maybe even the source of that. Like, not from an they deny the fact that our sense of sympathy has a natural source to it. What they do is they try to claim credibility, try to claim some credit for actually being the source of this sense of sympathy, as if without God or religion we wouldn't even have the sympathy. But not only they're not the source of it, they actually misdirect it to a place where it doesn't serve any purpose. You know, we're talking about something that is not even self-aware. Like, obviously something that isn't self-aware. It's not even understand. It doesn't even understand that it exists, let alone. And we are becoming sympathetic towards something that it doesn't even have sympathy for itself, because it doesn't even know that it exists. So this is, yeah.
Right. Well, the Catholic Church and religion in general are not the greatest source for doctrine or for dogma that promotes bodily autonomy. With things like restricting women's rights, reproductive rights, abortion, and forcing things like circumcision upon small children. These are all things that people that people don't have control over their own body, and it's because of religion.
Right. Uh, between a pig and a fetus, I think a pig deserves more attention, more rights than fetuses, because has no self-awareness. Actually, not a pig. Maybe like a whale or a chimpanzee or an elephant, because these are self-aware animals. You know, the thing that Christians or other religious people get hung up on is that this is human, and any human life, but because it's human, it's sacred and deserves to be protected. And this is a problem with having your morality based on principles rather than by consequences. Because people that are consequentialists rather than people that figure out their moral standards based on principles, they are looking for harm. Our moral standards is based on looking for who's being harmed and how we could avoid it, right? When you see suffering, you want to see what is causing it, and could you remove that harm without actually causing more harm, right? So all this definition of what makes a human, at one point is a fetus a real human that deserves to have legal protection and rights. All of that goes out the window when you're not looking for what's the definition of a human, but we're actually looking at what's the definition of a harm. You know what I mean?
That's right. That's right. Well, you take any of these people and you give them a tray full of test tubes that are full of frozen embryos, viable embryos that have the potential to be a full human life. You give them a tray of 50 of those in one hand, and you give them a newborn in the other, and tell them that they have to drop one. They're going to drop that tray of 50 fetuses.
That's great. Right. The Mad Atheist is saying someone should ask the Pope if that applies to nuns who are raped and then dismissed as sinners. It's a fair point to bring up that a lot of women don't have a choice, that if they keep the children, it's going to ruin their lives. But I would go farther. I would say, like, even if it's not ruining your life, even if you just don't feel like having a baby, you should be able to abort the baby.
Right.
You could have abortions for fun if you wanted to.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter. It's a fetus. It has no self-awareness. It's a tissue. Okay, it's a biological. It's just like your skin. It has nothing that is worth protecting there. Okay, there's nothing there that is worth protecting. Abort as you wish. You don't even if you were not raped, even if you can afford to raise a child, even if you want to have a child but not right now, have an abortion. Go at it. You're not harming anybody.
Right, and I can guarantee you that if men were the ones having babies, they would give out abortions like candy.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, but let me. But another thing is that. Another fair point to make is that even if it was self-aware, at the end of the day, you can't be taken hostage as an individual for someone else's life, right? But we don't even need to go there because it's not self-aware. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's a zygote. Christy's saying, yeah. In Persian, we call it zigot.
Yes.
Zigot. Yes. But even if it was like not beyond just as zygote, is that how you said it in English? Zygote.
Zygote. Yeah.
Zygote. Yeah. Persian is zigot. But even if it wasn't that, it was way after that. You could still. It's not self-aware. Get rid of it if you don't want it. Let me see what the top comments are. Jim is saying, every time a woman gets an abortion, that's one less kid's Catholic priest to get to rape. Oh, wait, I read that wrong. Every time a woman gets an abortion, oh, there's a comma missing here. That's one less kid Catholic priests get to rape. Oh, that's some dark humor right there. Glenn is saying the world's largest pedophile ring is the last organizations which should define morality. Fair point, but I would call it child molestation ring, not a pedophile ring, just to point out that they're not just pedophiles, they actually took action on their pedophilia. Joel is saying, well, it's literally choosing to murder an innocent baby out of convenience. So, well, it's not an innocent baby. It's just some tissue. It's not self-aware. It doesn't deserve protection. It deserves as much protection as your salad, Joel. Peter's saying, well, the church knows all about hiring hitmen over the years, don't they? That's interesting. All right. Let me see. Lacey saying, hey, ya Pope, how about you get priests to stop fucking kids and leave my body alone? Thanks. Fair point. Soraya saying a tissue can be like a live vegetable. Yeah, basically like that. In fact, no, I have something else to say, but I think that's gonna get everybody so offended that that's gonna be chaotic. So I have another comment to make, but that would be too gross and too dark. All right. Let me see. Let's go to the next news. Oh, wait. Let me see if there's any more Facebook comments. Atheist Republic. This is the classic LSD flashback. Oh, that was about the last news. That the woman must have a great stash of good drugs from the 60s. That's funny. All right. The next news.
Next news. Oh, hi, Rachel. Happy to see you here. The next news comes from the UK, where the British Supreme Court ruled 5-0 that Amy and Daniel MacArthur, evangelical owners of Asher's Baking Company, had every right to deny making a cake for a customer featuring Sesame Street's Bert and Ernie, and saying support gay marriage for the International Day Against Homophobia.
What?
And evangelical groups are celebrating this as a victory.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know what the fuck.
I mean,
wait,
maybe
where
they
was
don't.
this? This was the UK?
Yes. This is in the UK, and the Supreme Court ruled 5-0.
How does this get to the Supreme fucking Court?
Right. Well, and this was 5-0, and remember in the U.S. the Supreme Court ruled 7-2, so this was a unanimous decision in the UK.
Wow. Oh wait, how did we lose the Facebook live chat? Um, that's amazing.
Right. And I'm not sure how puppets can have a sexual
Well,
orientation.
no, they do because the author, the person that wrote the show, he came out and he said this they were gay, so he gets
Oh,
to,
really?
yeah. Well, a lot of people suspected that they were gay for many years. They lived with each other, and they were very affectionate with each other, but they were never sure. Okay, like it's possible that people could be very friendly without actually being gay, a gay couple. But apparently, the author came out and said like, no, all this time when he was writing this, he in his mind they were a gay couple.
That is
Uh,
so great.
yeah.
I mean, yeah, I was just thinking from, from a literal perspective, I mean, I guess all puppets are gay if you think about it.
Why are all puppets gay? Why?
Well, okay.
No,
If
my
if they
some
are
of
male puppets
yeah.
being operated by a male puppeteer, they're just, I mean, it, where do you put the hand?
Okay, but that argument every time you get a prostate exam, then you're in a gay relationship with your doctor. Then,
Well, that's my business.
all right, but 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 here's a. Oh, you are then. Okay, that's fine. Okay. You should let your doctor know that you're enjoying it too much. So maybe the
Right,
doctor, maybe
right,
the
right.
doctor is not that comfortable with it.
I I,
But
I think he knows.
he okay.
But
Um,
but but
yeah.
but seriously though, back to this story, how can they refuse to make
Did you read
a
how,
cake?
did you read why the court decided that to side with the Christian bakers? What was the reasoning?
Well, they're trying to decide if it would be lawful to make somebody bake a cake that disagreed with their ideas,
Mm.
and it opened up a whole lot of doors and a whole lot of questions for people on the Supreme Court in the UK. They're actually talking now that they're saying it was possibly a mistake because there was no hateful message or anything like that. It wasn't promoting a wedding, wasn't promoting gay marriage or anything like that. So it's really a messy issue that's just going to get messier.
I'm all for letting private businesses decide who they want to serve as long as it's consistent, right? Like a lot of people. I mean, I think when businesses make stupid decisions like that, then it's better if there's social or financial consequences to them rather than legal ones. I think as a society, we should have matured enough for the government not to play the role of the nanny and everything. I mean, obviously there are situations when the society is so far behind that the government might have to get involved in enforcing some rules. But at some point, I think the society has matured enough for us to take other measures rather than making everything illegal as private business. So if they don't, I think what could have been happening, like boycotts or people, bad reviews or something, right?
Right.
But
Yeah.
the thing is that what we have a problem in here in the U.S. is that there's double standard. Like if you want to protect some minority groups from private companies being not being able to discriminate against it, then gay people should also be included, right? Like if you're saying that if it's illegal for a company to say we don't serve black weddings, right? If
Right.
that's illegal in your country, then it should also be illegal to say we don't serve gay weddings, right? So we just want consistency. We're not. If you say, well, private businesses should be able to do whatever they want, well, then that should be all across the board, right? Then you can't have them protecting some minority groups that are discriminated against, but not some other minority groups, right? Yeah, fair, fair,
Right.
fair point. You think like the government shouldn't have a role? Okay, then make it all across the board. Don't leave gay people out of the protection, right?
Right, but then you have then you get to the point to where we really start addressing the issue when a Christian couple go to a secular baker and have them write a Bible verse on their cake and they're rejected. At that point, something will be done.
Right. I mean, I don't know if Christians, if they're happy opening this door, because then we could have businesses that say, well, we don't serve Muslims here. We don't serve Christians here. We don't serve white people here. Like, do you want to, if you think your society has matured enough for the government to step out of enforce, I'm not saying it is matured enough or not matured enough. I mean, at some point, obviously you can't have a nanny state that makes everything immoral illegal, right? But obviously, if it's to the point, your society is so bad that you have different water fountains for different colored people, and black people are supposed to be sitting at the back of the bus, that's a society where you can be like, well, they let the market decide. Well, this society is not mature enough for the market to decide. The government gets it. But obviously, you can't wait until you can't, at some point, even though you still have racists, you still have bigots, the government needs to take a back seat, because it can't. There's still some bigotry and discrimination left, but at some point the society could take care of it. I'm not sure if we're there yet, but if you're protecting someone, if you're forcing private companies to not discriminate, then you should be consistent with it. I think that's all I'm saying. I don't know. Do you agree or you disagree?
Right. Well, I mean, you know, I do believe that eventually in a free market that people should be able to discriminate at their judgment, but at the same time, like you said, we are not at that point in development where we can discriminate without being bigoted. You know, discriminating, you know, should be used should be used in instances where somebody is being unruly in your establishment. They're affecting your business. You know, at that point, you should be able to discriminate against them for their bad and harmful behavior. But I
No,
don't think
but
you
who
should be
gets
able.
to? I mean,
But
but you decide it's harmful. They decide that atheism is harmful, or they might
but
decide that being gay is harmful, right?
that that's the thing though, is that you should not be discriminated against how you are born or how
Well,
you are.
they might decide that this is not. I mean, they might think that, oh, this has nothing to do with your. So atheists. What about atheists, right? What if I say we don't serve atheists here? You just.
Well, I mean, we are all born atheists, but I mean, if an establishment, you know, says that if they don't want to serve atheists, myself as an atheist, I don't want to support that establishment. Now, if it gets to the point to where that same community who are refusing to serve atheists start acting in a harmful manner, you know, outside of refusing me a cheeseburger, you know, then we have problems. But if they want to be bigoted and they want to limit their customer base, then they're shooting themselves in the foot.
Another thing is that what we have to take into account is that how much choices exist in that environment, right? For example, if there are so many other companies to take your place, if you don't serve to a community, and I could just walk next door and there's another one available, I think the government, at that point, the government should not get in. But if your society is so bigoted that you can't find a place, like you're being so inconvenienced because everybody's being bigoted against your minority, I think that's the point where the government needs to become more mature than, like for example, let's say you live in a state where everybody, like 90% of the stores are anti-gay, right? Or anti-black or whatever. I think that's the situation where the government needs to get involved. Anyway, Muscal is saying Miss Piggy loves Kermit the Frog. So see, some puppets are straight. So Miss Muscal is right. Armin Sesame Street came out and said that the show doesn't consider Brett and Ernie to be gay, but best friends. Well, fuck you, Sesame Street. The creator. I take the word of the creator of Brett and Ernie more than the Sesame Street itself. And such a disappointment from Sesame Street to be able to, normalize a homosexual relationship by accepting this. They had to actually come back and say, no, we are going against the voice of the message of the creator and saying that they're not gay. Muska is saying, did Americans start a trend here? I don't know what she's referring to. Noble, I'm just going to call you Noble. Noble is saying, on this issue, I'd side with bakers because people shouldn't force others to do something creative they don't want to do, not because of religion, more because of artistic freedom. Okay, Noble, so if that's the case, you should also be supporting saying, like, if you say that I do not, any business person that says, I do not like serving black people, would you support that as well? The Mad Atheist is saying denying service based on how you are born is wrong. Period. It's not okay based on religion. Yeah, the Mad Atheist. We're not arguing whether it's right or wrong. I think we're all in agreement that it's wrong. But obviously not everything that is wrong should be banned by law. Like, are we going to get the government to, like, for example, outlaw cheating on your wife or your girlfriend or your husband because it's immoral? Like, obviously the government cannot be involved in every moral decision that we make, right? The Mad Atheist, discriminating against an ideology is more looked down upon than how someone is born. Yeah, unfortunately. Christy, no, we weren't tagged. That was to Atheist. Musgal is saying America is supposed to be a secular society. I don't want religions folks to feel they shouldn't do part of their job because they think practicing their faith should be intertwined. Okay. The Mad Atheist saying allowing mistreatment doesn't require allowing a business license. Allowing mistreatment doesn't require allowing a business license. So allowing,
I think they're saying that getting a business license doesn't guarantee that you won't mistreat your customers.
Right. Okay. But yeah, I mean, are you suggesting we should take their business license away if they mistreat people?
Or maybe make it a prerequisite that they have to agree to certain conditions before they get a business license.
So basically, this is the government telling people who you can and cannot serve, though.
Right. Well, but then again, if you are providing a public service, then you should be providing that service to the public. You should not be in an industry where you have to pick and choose based on religious values. So, for instance, if you make wedding cakes and you know that you are in a state that has legal same-sex marriages and you don't agree with that, then perhaps you should not be a baker.
Okay, Mike is saying if you offer a public service, you have no right to discriminate any client.
Boom.
Okay, wait. I have a counter example for that. But consistency is not important. If you produce a
Cassocks.
You have right to
or cakes, I think is what they meant to say.
I don't know what it is. Cakes. You have a right to sell it to priests only, but no cake. Oh, I don't know what. Okay, so if you're producing something, what is that? Yes, I'm gonna.
I'm not sure what they were trying to go for there.
Okay, but here's the thing. I have a question for Mike. So if I'm a cake store and somebody wants to come and make me make a cake with a swastika sign on it, and I don't want to make it, should I be forced to make it or not? I'm not saying it's obviously that's not saying again. A lot of people are like, oh, how could you compare Nazism to being gay? No, I'm not talking about them being equal. I'm talking about whether the government, whether it's fair to make people make things that they don't want to make. Obviously, one of them we're for it, one of them is against. The message is obviously not the same. Again, every time you make examples like this, people think that your comparison has to be exactly the same for it to make any sense. The part of it that is the same is the government involvement in it. That's the part that we're comparing. Based on Mike's standard, is that going to be fair? Let me see what there are people saying on Facebook. The top comment saying This is not an LGBT. Wait, LGBTGT? Never seen it like this before. Issue. This is not a religion issue. If I was a flag maker, for instance, I would and could and should be able to refuse to make Nazi swastika if asked. Oh, this guy Arthur just made exactly the example I made.
Wow.
Rodney is saying, if a small business owner, judging by some of the comments here, I should be forced by law to give my products to people I don't want to do business with, and hell, even make a product I don't do. I don't know if this is proper English or if I'm reading it bad. Even make a product I don't do when ordered. This is a complete and utter bullshit, and whoever thinks like that should grow the fuck up. Yeah, I think it's based on motivations as well. I guess I think the government should get involved if the discrimination is so much that makes life difficult for people living in that environment. Okay, I think that's when the government gets in. I think when you're going from one place to another and people are denying you service because of your ideology or how you're born, in both scenarios, the government should step in. But if it's anything less than that, if you have options, then that's not okay. Obviously, still not okay. But I think we need to find other ways to fight that other than the government involvement. That's my personal belief. I might be wrong. Let me know. You can correct me if I'm wrong. The Mad Atheist is saying that only applies if bakers sell swastika cakes. The bakers sell wedding cakes, just not to everyone. No, but if I'm having a Nazi party and I want a cake made for a Nazi party and somebody says, sorry, we don't sell cakes to fucking Nazis, should the government get involved and say, no, you have to make a cake for Nazi parties? I think you shouldn't be forced to.
Well,
yeah, go ahead.
Any existing Nazi is a war criminal in Germany. So,
okay,
I mean,
neo-Nazis.
okay, neo-Nazi. Okay, well, neo-Nazis are inarguably a pieces of shit. We're not talking about a sexual preference. We're not talking about a gender identity. We're not talking about anything that is not harmful to anybody. We're talking about an ideology that is harmful and that
Jim,
incites violence.
Me and you know that, okay? But if you give the government the authority to make that decision, think about the governments that we have. They might say atheism is a harmful thing, or they might think that being gay or homosexuality is degeneracy and is breaking families, right?
Right.
So
but I am born an atheist. They are not born Nazis.
I understand that, but that's not what they think. They think everybody is born in the image of God. I'm just saying I don't think the government should have the authority to be the moral judges of on these issues. I mean, unless you go on.
So how do you prevent the undoubted oppression that's going to occur to these minority groups if they don't have protection from the government?
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, when your society is so far backwards, where you have separate water fountains for colored people, when you're forcing them to sit in the back of the bus, that's when the government be like, okay, you guys are idiots. You guys are not mature enough to take care of your own private lives. The government needs to step in to fix this, to clean this shit up, right?
Yeah.
I think there's a role for government there, but I think once you get to a level of maturity where that's not happening, I don't think we could go for perfection with government. I think at that point, the government should take a back seat. And I'm not saying we should be happy with that level of discrimination. We should still fight it. I just feel we should use different tools. At that point, we should use different tools to fight it, right? Like, I think a company that doesn't serve gay people should go out of business. Like we should make it a PR. We should turn it into a PR nightmare for them at some point.
Right, but you're talking about social consequences
Yeah,
versus civil consequences.
exactly.
But civil consequences are not, or I'm sorry, social consequences are not consistent and not always productive unless there is a majority voice behind it. And if the minority are being oppressed here, and there's not enough of the majority there to help them,
That's when
then
that's what my point is. That's when the government gives in. When the society is not mature enough to fight such discrimination, that's when the government gets involved, right?
Oh, okay. So in today's society, at least in America and parts of Canada, what steps would you suggest in our infancy as far as accepting these
I mean,
ideas and these people for who they are?
I mean, right, I think right now in Canada and most of the United States, there are a lot of options, right? But what I think is what we need to do is keep shaming and pointing out how ridiculous these ideas are. And it's working, at least in the West, it's working, right?
I mean, yes, but I mean, if you look here, the British Supreme Court ruled 5-0 against these MacArthurs.
Yeah, but that's
I
not
mean,
because I mean, I don't think that's because they think this is okay. I mean, these judges might think it's because they don't have the authority to tell a private company to not. That's not an endorsement of what they are doing. Right?
right,
These judges might have decided that it's not for them to decide.
right,
That might
yeah.
be their vote, right?
Yeah, well, it's not necessarily an endorsement, but it is a show of neutrality that they're not going to go the extra
Not
mile to
not
protect this.
necessarily. Here's the thing: if you come to me and say like, "Hey, my wife cheated on me," um, do something about it. Like, what am I gonna do about it? Like, oh, you're neutral. Like, no, I'm not neutral. That's shitty. That she shouldn't have done that. Like, well, do something about it. Like, I'm not in a position to do anything about it. Like, oh no, so you're neutral then. You know what I mean? So just because they might have decided that they're not in a position to do something about it, that doesn't mean that they're neutral about it, right?
Right.
I mean, yeah, but I might be wrong. Let me see what people in the live chat are saying. Tell me if I'm being an idiot. I accept it. What Muscal is saying, what's one's religion and political viewpoint shouldn't matter to a business owner. These sorts that want to deny services based off religion are dumb business owners. Don't they want to make money? Well, again, Muscal, we're not saying that just because if the people that suggest that maybe the government shouldn't be enforcing this are not saying that this is okay. I hope that part is clear, right? Noble is saying, I'm drawing a line at custom made stuff. Oh, custom. So I think Noble is talking about art expression, right? So
Right.
I think Noble is saying there's a difference between you not selling something to somebody, which is just basically you taking their money and giving them something, versus you creating something that expresses their ideas. I think that's an interesting line. I think that let me read what Noble said completely. I'm drawing a line at custom-made stuff as an artist of sorts. I wouldn't want to make something I consider to be
Kitsch.
what does that mean? Just because
Kitsch. Just like weird.
okay, just because someone with no taste wants it. I think that's a good line. Maybe it should be illegal, for example, to like if you come to a grocery store and want to buy Coke and say, well, you're gay, I don't sell to gays. Maybe that should be the legal line. But if you want to make like a painting where you celebrate your gayness, then you be like, well, I don't want to make that. That should be frowned upon, but not illegal. Maybe that's the perfect legal line right there. Yeah.
But at the same time, though, if you are to apply those standards where they're not making custom made stuff to everybody, at the same time, that still opens up the opportunities for these artists um, to oppress minorities specifically for religious value purposes.
Yeah, I mean, if it gets to the form of oppression where you can't just walk right next door and there's going to be someone else happy to take your money, then also, that should also be illegal. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
But as long as somebody says like someone's being a bigot, and you could just close the door and just move one block away, and there's another person that is happy to take your money, I think that shouldn't count as oppression. That should just be bad PR for the person that was a bigot. Do you know what I mean? Mike is saying, what I meant is that if your business is not targeted up front, you shouldn't be in the right to reject any client. Targeted up front, okay. The Mad Atheist is saying, if the baker does not sell swastika cake, it's not the same. It's only the same if the baker makes swastika cakes not for everyone. Well, no, I mean, if it's custom made, every cake that this person is making is going to be different from the next cake. Can't Spell is saying, you should, I think you shouldn't. You should have to sell a cake. You shouldn't have to, but no messages should be forced to be written on the cake. I think that goes along with what Noble said regarding to customization and artistic expression. I think that's kind of the same way of thinking. Something atheist, I'm going to call you anti-atheist. Anti-atheist, you're still filtered, censored. No, I'm not going to read that. Jesus Christ. I tried everything. If it doesn't work, I don't know what else to do. Please keep it about the news. Let me see. Mike is saying, where is the line and who decides where the line is? Who decides when the government should intervene? That's a very good question, and one that I don't think I have enough understanding of how the legal system. I mean, I think that's something that needs to be defined, but that's a very good question. Anyway, should we go to the next? Oh wait, let me see if there's any Facebook comments. Atheist Republic, I wonder how many people are fake religious if there were signs that they say no atheists allowed. So how many people would fake being religion? Well, I mean, you could say that's the same thing. If that was acceptable, then you could say that also about being gay, because you could fake being
Right.
being straight.
How many people would be willing to lower their standards to call themselves a Christian just so they can eat somewhere and support somebody that didn't want their business?
Right. Okay. All right. So let's go to the. Okay. I also changed the top chat. Guys, remind me at the beginning of every live chat. I changed the top chat to live chat. Let me know if that helps, but don't let me know here because I want to keep it on the news. Let me know somewhere else. Anyways, let's go to the next news. Oh my God, what is this?
The next news comes from the United States, where CatholicVote.org, a nonprofit organization that was founded to promote pro-life candidates in Congress, made a dramatic video showing young boys growing up into men of virtue and taking on courageous jobs before showing clips from Brett Kavanaugh's emotional testimony before the confirmation, trying to scare mothers into supporting his placement on the U.S. Supreme Court. The ad insisted that Kavanaugh's life was permanently destroyed by the false allegations and that it can happen to other, quote-unquote, good men.
Okay, let me... wait, do you want to watch the video? Is there music on the video? Because I don't want this to get...
Yeah, it's like an emotional. They try to, violins and stuff like that. I mean, you can.
Do you know if it's copyrighted? Because I don't want to play something that's gonna get our video on YouTube removed.
Yes, I do. It is. It's copyrighted from Moms for Kavanaugh.
All right, so I'm not gonna play it. So what was the point of this video?
The point of this video was just to show support for Brett Kavanaugh. So they were basically just scaring other mothers into supporting his placement on the U.S. Supreme Court by saying that young virtuous Christian men can be accused of these allegations just like Brett Kavanaugh, and that their lives can be destroyed too. So the only hope for them is to support Brett Kavanaugh. So basically, it's just fear-mongering propaganda.
You know, I one thing that I don't understand about this whole Kavanaugh thing is that why didn't people... Okay, this guy is against a lot of things that... A lot of things that helps women. Like he's going to probably try to turn back the clock on many important issues that women rights advocates have been fighting for years in the United States, right? I mean, and then he got accused of abusing how many women? Five? Three? Three.
There have been five that
Five.
have come forward.
And now there was such a huge attempt into making sure that he doesn't become a Supreme Court, and that failed. But Supreme Court judge, that failed. But where was all of this shit before? Because this guy is going to be dangerous to the rights that millions of women enjoy, and he's going to ruin millions of women's lives if he gets his way on the Supreme Court. But when you get the story of 5 women, apparently it matters more than the potential harm that this man is going to cause to millions of women. Do you see what?
That's right.
What I'm saying?
That's right.
Is that I'm not doing whataboutism, because whataboutism is usually suggests that something is okay because another mistake was made. I'm not saying any of this is okay, but one of them seems a lot more harmful than the other one, and I just don't understand why. Beach pointed out that one of them is emotional, one of them is logical, and this shows how the correlation between what we should be emotional about it doesn't match logic. Like, if the amount of outrage for this guy even being suggested to become a judge on the Supreme Court should have been astronomically higher than what the reaction that we got when we saw the accusations that we got from him abusing 5 women, right?
That's right. But the sad reality is in America, especially amongst conservatives, even conservative women, there are a lot of women who are willing to throw their reproductive rights and their bodily autonomy rights down the toilet just for whether they are misinformed, whether they're indoctrinated, or, like we were talking earlier, they have some sort of Stockholm syndrome where they believe that that men are their caretakers and that these old white men have their best interest at heart, and they are playing directly into their hands.
Right. The Matt Gaithias on the YouTube live chat is saying the white female vote that is traditionally conservative is the top priority for the midterms. This is an attempt to sway or keep them at home. The thing is that I think the conservatives have won big time with Trump, right? They knew what they wanted. They thought about it long term. They invested in Trump, even though had nothing Christian about him, and a lot of people made fun of them for doing so. But they got exactly what they wanted, which was these judges. And they've been very strategic about it, and they're saying the return on their investment with these judges. This is why it's important to vote. Jade is saying from a recent Vox post, too good not to share. Oh wait, from Daniel Muscato. Oh, Muscato, is that the same Daniel I know? He works for Vox now. How to protect yourself from false rape allegations. I'm seeing a lot of scared men right now. My heart aches. Oh, this is too long. I'm not going to read this.
It's very long.
Oh, I didn't know it's going to be that long. Never mind. Next comment.
But it is a great post. So for anybody listening, I suggest reading that.
I mean, I just did an episode with Ali Rizvi on the Secular Jihadist podcast. Me and him disagree on this a bit. I mean, I think we agree on a whole bunch, but we also disagree on this a little bit. Go the latest episode of the Secular Jihadist podcast. It's called Me Too from the Perspective of Men, which is, I know, it's not a title that a lot of people don't like, but go check it out and let me know what you think. Amber is saying, yeah, it can happen to your sons, but fuck your daughters. I really don't like the fact that this is becoming this audio. This is becoming a man versus woman thing, I think we're all in this together, and we need to figure out the solution together. Like, don't put each other on different teams. Okay, we're just trying to figure out how to reduce harm, and this is like, oh man, I don't like to separate us like this. What do you think?
I yeah, I agree completely. I do believe that this is a man versus woman thing. It has been a man versus woman thing, and that's the problem. That's what we need to
Yeah,
correct. But we can't do that as long as we are passing laws that are gender based. There's no reason why we should have any gender based laws.
yeah, yeah. Fair point. Well, I mean, you do need some rights based on gender, because we need different things, right? Like, for example, maternity leave or whatever like that. But yeah, other than that, the thing is that what I'm saying is that it has been a man versus woman thing, and the way you stop making it a man versus woman thing is by not responding to it with another man versus woman defense. You know what I mean? You just remove whatever it's making it a man versus woman issue. Do you know what I mean? Obviously, yes. You can't deny that this has been an anti-woman world, right? And the way you just the way you fix it is by removing any sources of oppression and discrimination against women. That's the only way you can fix this, right?
Right.
I just don't want it to make this a tribal battle between genders. Soraya is saying, yeah, I watched it. Ali and you. Oh, thanks, Soraya. The Mad Atheist is saying in '92, the Anita Hill controversy ended several senatorial careers. You cannot underplay the importance of this issue. Soraya is saying, if we have gender-based oppression, then laws will be gender-based. It will be like that. Yeah. Well, yeah, but you fight that by removing the sources of conflict between genders. You make it a human issue rather than a gender issue, right? Let me see what other comments I have. If you're worried that your sons might be accused of sexual assault, it really says a lot about their behavior around other people. I don't know. I mean, if you're a mom, you're gonna be worried about your children, no matter what no
Yeah,
matter
I mean,
how they behave.
I have a 15-year-old son, Armin. I am worried that he will try drugs at a party. I'm worried
Right.
that he will underage drink. I'm worried that he will speed in a car when he's alone. But I am not worried that he will be falsely accused of any sexual allegations because he has been taught better. He has been raised to respect women.
Okay, but if you say falsely, that means that he didn't. That doesn't mean that
But
he doesn't have to have done it.
But that also means that he would never put himself into a position to where he could possibly be accused of doing that.
I don't know. I mean, my friend Ali Rizvi was falsely accused, and I mean, I'm not saying this is as big of a problem as women being raped. Obviously, it's a much lesser issue. But
Right.
Ali Rizvi, he was falsely accused, and he was proven that he was false, and he didn't put himself in that position.
That's great though, but it was able to be proven though.
Yeah, but
At
I'm just saying. I mean, okay. Here's the problem with the other side. The other side are making it seem like false accusations are dropping out of the sky. Everybody could get hit by it. It's not it's not as common, but the other side making it seem like it's not a problem at all. Right? I think both sides are wrong. The side that thinks false accusations are not an issue at all, that's not true. There are people that are getting falsely accused and their lives are getting ruined. And this is not as big of a deal as the number of women that are being assaulted, which is a way bigger problem, obviously. But obviously, you don't, the fact that it's a smaller problem doesn't mean it's not a problem. So one side is making it seem like it's not a problem at all, false accusations. False accusation is a problem. It's a small problem relative to other things, but it's still a problem. The other side is making it sound like now, every single boy is now at risk. Such a high risk that it could happen. Like it's going to it's going to happen. Now, like, oh, look, your son, it's just a 50-50 chance your boy is going to be taken by false accusation. Obviously, that's an exaggeration on the other side as well, right? And just say, go on.
The solution to this, for one, I believe that, so false rape accusations, we're talking 5% of all accusations are false, right?
Yeah, that's a lot of people.
We're talking, right. That is a lot of people, but percentage-wise, we're talking about a lot of people being raped. We're talking about 95% of those people.
Yeah, like I said, go on. Sorry.
But in order to decrease those false rape accusations coming from the other side, we have to convict false rape accusations, because they don't lead to convictions, they don't lead to jail time. That's just something that is historic. So people who are falsely accusing people need to be held accountable on that side.
Yeah.
On the other side, it is still only 5%. Okay, you are more likely to get eaten by a shark than you are to be accused of sexual assault. But that is not a concern for anybody. Nobody's concerned about getting eaten by a shark, because nobody's going to put themselves in a position.
Except the people that are being eaten by sharks.
Except for the people who are being eaten by sharks, and that sucks. And that sucks.
Right. No, but what I'm saying is that the bigger victims of that, first of all, there's different studies. Some studies say 2%, some studies say 3%, some studies say 5%, some studies say 10%. It doesn't matter. Even if it's a 0.5%, you take that obviously you don't exaggerate how big of a problem that is, right? Obviously it's not as big of a problem as women being abused. You don't even need to compare them, but you could take the 0.5% still seriously, right? The problem is that when you have slogans like "Believe all women," right? What you're going to do is you're going to encourage that 2% or 3% to grow to 5 or 7%, right? And the main problem with that percentage growing, because now you're basically encouraging false accusations, right? Obviously,
unless you start to prosecute these people.
Also, another thing is that these 3 to 5% are the ones that were proven. We don't know how many of these false accusations were actually never proven, and these people got punished for something they didn't do, right? But another thing is that the problem with this is that this is bad for women that are being abused, because these 5% of false accusation cases is going to be used as a way to discredit the 95%, right?
Right.
So what you have to do is you have to create an environment, because obviously we haven't created an environment where women are encouraged to come forward, right?
Right.
We haven't created that environment. We know that a lot of people don't come forward because they don't get taken seriously. The problem
65% is that number.
Yeah. The problem is that these false accusations make it even harder for that 95% to come forward, right? So you have to create even though it's just 5%, it's just used way too often, right? So what you have to, or 3% or whatever, what you have to do is you have to do a better job at encouraging real victims to come forward, and at the same time discouraging false accusations, right? And some people think that this is contradictory, because some people think that if you focus on discouraging people to do false accusations, you're also going to be discouraging people to come forward, because they think they're going to get blamed for, even though they were actual victims, they're going to be accused of being lying, right? So
right. Well, people are already discouraged from coming forward because of these social consequences that they're getting presented with by people at their church, people in their family who are shaming them for simply being women that were raped.
Yeah. So that's what you need to do is you need to, obviously that's a problem. Nobody, I mean, you shouldn't deny that too many women that came forward were shamed and bullied away out of, in a way that it discouraged other people to come forward, right? So I think there needs to be a switching of the message to from believe all women to take all accusations seriously, right? Like something like that. Like every single accusation is going to be taken seriously. No one is going to be ignored. No one's going to be taken. No one is going to be, abandoned. Nobody is going to be, everything is going to be investigated, right? But a lot of people say that if you don't use the phrase believe all women, that means you're not taking it seriously. No, you have to take it all seriously. You just shouldn't say believe all women, because now you're making it seem like that 5% is actually 0%, and you're going to encourage the 3% growing to, I don't know, whatever the number is, to double or whatever, right? And if you make that number grow, then it's going to hurt even more, because then you're going to give more ammunition to people that discredit real victims, and you're going to hurt the cases of a lot more real victims. Let me see what the live. Do you have anything to say?
If we start convicting these people who are spreading these false allegations, that 2 to 10% number is going to fall to a 1 to 3% number. I mean,
that's what. You're saying the same thing I'm saying.
But at that point, it will no longer be an issue. I mean, because if we can increase this 35% of women who are coming forward with their confessions, with their stories of being raped, and wanting to prosecute these people. If we raise that number from 35% to 100%, if we empower women and we change the environment in which we currently are in to an environment in which we embrace women to where they feel comfortable coming forward with these allegations, that number will rise from 35 to 100%, and that 1 to 3% will be minute, because that current 2 to 10% of false allegations is derived from the 35% of reported cases. So this is only
but you yourself said we need those false accusations need to be. What needs to be done? What did you just say?
They need to be convicted. They need to be prosecuted.
So that basically suggests that you do not buy into the slogan "Believe all women."
I don't believe that you should believe anybody, but I believe that we should create an environment in which we are empowering women.
Yeah. So we did. You're saying it. You're basically you're not saying anything that I disagree with. Then, you're basically reconfirming everything I said, right?
Great. Yeah.
So let me. Soraya is saying, of course, before getting married, me too. After becoming a mother, him too works as a convenience for some women. Not all will be doing false accusation. I mean, I don't think that this is a man versus woman thing. Let me see. Atheist saying, according to National Sexual Violence Resource Center, the false accusation rate is 2 to 10%. That's a huge. That's a wide, margin, like 2% to 10%, depending on criteria. So if we blindly accept women, we are doing a net good. Oh, no, you're not. Because if you blindly accept women, you're going to increase that from 10% to 20%. Because now you're creating an environment where you're telling people that if they could just come and accuse people, and based on their sex, they should be believed. So no, you're not. You're not going to doing a net good. You're actually going to hurt the cases of the other 90%. You're actually going to you'll be doing a disservice to other women.
James Dunn said you have a point, but you admitted yourself that the amount of false accusations out there falls below 5%. I feel like at this point it's more important to encourage confidence in victims. Yes, James, I agree with you there. Our first priority should be encouraging victims.
No, you guys are not listening. To encourage confidence in victims, you need to reduce the rate of false accusations. Okay, by saying believe all women, you're actually going to increase the rate of false accusations, and you're going going to hurt the cases of the real victims. Okay,
Right, but I
it's
think
not
there's a
an
way
either or.
to.
You have to do it both. You have to encourage victims to come forward and discourage scammers to stay silent. Okay, that 5% is huge. Okay, that 5% needs to be dropped to 1%. That 5% is hurting the 95%. Okay, it's not an either or. You could do it at the same time. You could encourage real victims and discourage fake ones at the same time. Mike is saying, remember Benny Fredrickson? Okay. Sorry, Jim, did you want to respond to what I just said?
No. That's fine.
And Atheist is saying, got any evidence for that assertion? This is more deductive rather than inductive. This is Occam's razor, okay? If you say, this is not a theory, this is a hypothesis. If you wanna refute my hypothesis, you have to use Occam's razor for that, because obviously neither of us have hard facts for this. So I could definitely be wrong, right? That's why it's not mature to the point of a theory yet. It's just at the point of hypothesis, and that's why I'm not married to this position. I'm happy to prove it, to accept that I'm wrong. But the hypothesis is that if you say that anybody that with this certain gender would be believed no matter what, you're going to encourage more people to take advantage of that environment. I don't think that's an extraordinary claim to make.
No, not at all. I actually completely agree with you there, and that it doesn't just have to do with sexual allegations. It can be anything.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. That's with anything. If you say, yeah, never mind. I'm not gonna come with examples. All right, let me see if there's any Facebook people here as well. Here. Atheist Republic, Jeff Kavanaugh is another religious nut who may or may not steer upcoming decisions toward religious views of his own. Yeah, I know. That's why I think he's such a fucking disaster. Look at Hollywood scandal as to why women came out much later in life to try and take down the judge. I don't believe in that conspiracy. I think the reason why women came out later is first because it's not easy coming forward. There's a lot of social consequences as you've seen. It's such a fucking nightmare. I don't believe in the conspiracy that they came out late because of their own agenda. It also might be because of them saying but I mean maybe they come out so late, first of all, because they didn't want all this attention. But when he was becoming a judge, then they thought that they are morally obligated to come forward at that time. So I don't buy into the conspiracy for women coming forward. A lot of people say, "Oh, if these women were raped before, why are they coming out only right before the election? There must be a different agenda." Well, because we have seen the negative consequences of coming forward. We've seen how much shit you get from the society, how much threats you get, how much abuse you get from coming forward. That's why they didn't come forward, and the reason why they're coming forward right before the election is because they think like now it's not just about them. Now it's about the consequences of this person being in a position of power to a lot of other people. That's why they're coming out. And if that's the case, I think they're heroes, right?
That's right.
Because now they're putting their own life at risk and their own comfort at risk because of what they think is best for the society. And that's why they're coming out right before the elections. The Mad Atheist is saying prosecuting false allegations is problematic because not all women draw the same line. Regretful drunk sex isn't the same as violent rape. A dirty joke isn't the same as a grab. Well, yeah, women. Yeah, but it shouldn't be the women should.
But
just
the culture
report,
is the same.
No, the law should be this consistent, right? The woman shouldn't.
Right.
The victim doesn't need to draw the line. The women should just be encouraged to report whatever happened. The law the law will draw the line of what punishment fits what action that was taken.
And society needs to draw a line. Like, I mean, somebody who's making the excuse is saying something like, groping isn't the same thing as raping or anything like that. It's like, no, the action itself is not, but the culture that is being purported there is the exact same. It is a culture that is created to where women are objects, where women are sexual items, and that they are there for
I
our
mean, there's
pleasure and
nothing.
our entertainment.
Well, you shouldn't only be that, but obviously we're all sexual objects when we want to be, right? The key point is when we want to be, right?
Right, right. When
Yeah.
we want to be, consent is the key word here.
No, I mean I don't want to completely say like, oh, women are not sexual. Both men and women are sexual objects to each other, to that are attracted to them. But the key is that that you decide when you want to be treated like a sexual object, and when you want to don't want to be treated like that, right? That's the point. I
Exactly.
just don't want to sex shame people, like some people, like I don't want to make it seem like we're anti that
Oh, no, no,
yeah,
no, no, no,
the
not
point
at
is that
all.
you do not get to decide you know how you treat somebody. You don't get to decide that. They get to decide that, right?
Right,
But
right.
one that's one thing. Another thing is that these things are not equal, right? The consequences for um grabbing somebody and raping them, there should be consequences to both of them, but obviously there shouldn't be the exact same consequences. One of them is worse than the other one, and the problem is when you treat it all the same, then you're dismissing how horrific the worst ones were. You know what I mean? When you treat some harmful language the same way that you treat an abusive rape, then you're being very dismissive to the experience that that woman went through. Um, uh, went through an abusive rape was. You're dismissing how horrific that was, and I think that they should be treated differently. That doesn't mean just because you're saying something is worse than something else. That doesn't mean you're endorsing the less harmful one, right? If I say cancer is worse than AIDS, that doesn't make me pro AIDS, right? Um,
Right.
so, anti-atheists saying, I'm not a judge, so I'm not going to influence society that way, but I will make a difference to any woman I speak to. Well, good job.
Yep.
The mad atheist essay. By the way, Christy, if you want me to read something, make sure you tag Atheist Republic. The mad atheist is saying the social consequences are the same right now, regardless. Behavior can be modified, but not likely for a rapist. Well, I mean, yeah, we all agree that rapists should be punished. I think we're all on the same page on that, right? Anyways, I think we spent so much on this one. Let's go to the next news.
Our last news comes from Australia, where 69-year-old Graham Robert Morant is responsible for the death of his wife, Jennifer Morant. He convinced her to kill herself so he can use the $1.4 million in insurance payouts to build a church. He told her that the funds would provide a safe haven from the biblical rapture where he would be a pastor, and she wouldn't have committed a suicide if not for the pressure from him, the jury found.
Wait, what the fuck? Okay, so she was insured, and she
Right.
encouraged he. How did he encourage her to kill herself? This is so fucked up.
So Jennifer Morant had been suffering from chronic back pain for a couple of years, but it was in no way terminal. She was not dying from this injury. But he convinced her that it would not be a sin if she sacrificed herself and committed suicide in order for him to collect the insurance money, the $1.4 million, in which he would use to build a church, really a commune.
This is insane. One.
It's it's really crazy, and the only way that they caught him where two of her friends came forward to the police and said that Jennifer had come to them talking about Robert's plan or Graham's plan to for her to commit suicide, and she was saying that she was scared and that she didn't want to do it, and that she just wanted to win the lottery so that she didn't have to do this.
Jeez. So this is so sad. He and she didn't want. How did she kill herself?
There hasn't I haven't didn't get the details as far as that goes.
He told her
Um,
that the funds would provide a haven for the biblical rapture, where he would be a
Yes.
pastor. So he kind of
Yes.
promised her an afterlife as
Right.
well.
Well,
But
he told her that because of her chronic back pain, that she would be too weak to survive the rapture anyway, so that it was best for her to go ahead and sacrifice herself now, so that he could have this haven for him and his congregation.
unfucking believable. So she
It
actually, yeah.
yeah, it just goes to show you that you can convince anybody of anything.
This is so sad. She was already in so much pain, and she was cheated out of her life as well.
Right, and the jury has convicted him. The jury deliberated for a day and a half before reaching a verdict on Tuesday. They found him guilty, but the judge left open the possibility that he might either suspend his sentence entirely or partially, because according to the judge, this guy is not a public risk.
Wait, he's not gonna get the full punishment?
The sentencing phase has not began yet, but the jury has found him guilty. They have convicted him, but he has not been sentenced yet. When he is sentenced, and we don't have a date for that. It should begin soon. They're saying it's a possibility that he won't serve time for this.
Unbelievable. This is murder, though. This should be
Oh,
counted as
yeah,
murder. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. This is somebody taking advantage of somebody else, and this is awful.
This is what we mean when we say religion hurts religious people more than anyone else. This is, you know, this is, how we say they try to, sell you another life so that they could steal this one. This couldn't be any more real for this woman.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is wild. I mean,
So,
not only somebody to believe in a physical rapture, but for somebody to believe that it is coming so soon and that they have to give their lives in order that others may be saved.
so she actually thought that there's gonna be a rapture in her lifetime, but she's gonna be too weak to survive it.
Right.
Like how's that? Like, isn't she, if she's a Christian, isn't she supposed to just go to up? Like, she doesn't need to survive anything.
Well, there's part of the rapture in Revelations where it talks about Christians actually being left behind, not all of them being raptured, but Christians being left behind for the trials and the tribulation, in which
Oh,
they have a period in which to try and save other people.
so physical strength matters at that in that situation.
Well, apparently during that time, according to the Bible, 1/3 of all the stars are going to fall to Earth. So that's a lot of fucking stars. So I guess you got to be pretty strong for that.
Right. So, but sounds like Hunger Games. But that means like, but that would mean that like it's not gonna be based on. So if if she that wouldn't be based on your how Christian you are then. Like it does.
Oh, according to Revelation, the the last days in which the Christians are there. It talks about fire and flame and people wanting to die and not being able to, and people looting and killing people. It's just supposed to be a really hectic time during this
Right.
after the rapture.
And was she convinced that it's gonna happen during her lifetime? This makes all right. And
Uh,
yeah,
I know several people in my family, people that have been dead for many years, that believed that Jesus was coming back in their lifetime, that believed that they would be raptured up in a blaze of glory and that they'd be on their way to heaven. They truly believed that God was going to arrive before their time. And you know what? People have been believing that for the past 2,000 years.
right. So some people in the live chat are saying so he's not gonna get any jail time. How is he not going to
That
jail?
okay, he has not been sentenced yet. He
Right.
has they have
But
they
he
have
might
down
not.
him
He might not get any jail time. That's a
that
possibility.
That is correct. They
So,
they they may remove part or all of his sentencing, because according to the judge, he is not a public threat and he has not violated any of his bail.
is he gonna get the insurance money?
Oh no, no, no. I'm sure not, because they found him guilty of that. So I'm sure that he will probably also be charged for insurance fraud.
Okay. The the Mad Atheist is asking, what was the denomination? Jehovah's Witness? What was it?
Uh, the denomination just said just Christian.
Hmm. So it doesn't
Um,
say.
no. Um,
But that's
re-
okay.
religious. That's
John in the Facebook comment saying the Lord works in mysterious ways. Then there's another comment here. What insurance company pays out on suicide? Oh yeah, actually, you don't pay. They don't pay out on suicide at all. So don't they? Didn't
what's
the
that?
husband? I mean, if it was suicide, don't insurance company just not pay for suicide? Like even if they didn't discover that he encouraged her, wouldn't he be like not getting paid at all? Wouldn't just because it was a suicide? I mean, they wouldn't see that.
You know, I
Huh.
I don't know.
That's sad
I'm not sure.
because insurance companies don't. This okay, never mind.
No,
Yeah, I
no, no.
mean
You're
they.
you're you're you're
Yeah,
right. I mean, yeah, you're right.
yeah. I don't think he thought this through, did he? Yeah, that's crazy. Okay, so that was the last news.
That
Um,
was it.
yeah, thank you so much, everybody in the live chat. Please let us know if you disagree with anything you said in the comments. Please correct us. Please, like, let us know. Obviously, anything I said that you guys might disagree with, I admit that I might be wrong about it. So I hope that you correct me if I'm wrong. I'm open to changing my opinions. And I'm not just saying that because I do change my opinions on a regular basis on many things. And if, in fact, I get scared when I don't change my opinion on something for too long, for anything, that means I'm too married to my positions. Obviously, we're all wrong about something. So I appreciate your disagreements. I appreciate you correcting us. And Soraya is saying, I think he got rid of her. Money was not the issue. Mike is saying, wow, it was the most intense news episode I remember. Thank you. Thanks. Yeah, awesome. Thank you. Thanks, Mike. Well, I mean, it's kind of sad. I'm hoping that one day, like 10 years from now, Atheist Republic news is going to be like 7 good news and just like 3 bad news. Like it's going to balance out, like there's going to be more stuff, that more religions dying, more people coming out of dogma, more good news that we have one day. And atheist saying, just let everyone know that if they post some rude words you cannot see it. Oh my god, and you're obsessed with this. But okay, well, I'm sure Christian Beach could come some Christian Beach could figure something out, and let me know, please, how to fix this. Thank you so much. Chrissy, thank you for spending your Saturday with us, Atheist Republic. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mars. Thank you, Ant Atheist. Thank you, Old Scratch. Oh, Jim, you're there in live chat. Moose. Beach. Who else? Um,
Everybody,
Robo,
thank you, everybody.
everybody. I want to mention his name. Mars, I mentioned. The Mad Atheist, I mentioned. Anybody at the top that. Daniel. Thank you. Oh, James.
Thanks, cunt spell.
Can't spell. Yeah, yeah. Edward. Yeah, you guys make it this much better. The live chat really, the live feed that we're getting and people correcting us and disagreeing with us makes this experience a lot better and much more useful. So thank you guys for being here. Um,
Absolutely.
all right. See you guys next week.